Hi, I'm Alex. I'm the Technical Game Design Director at independent micro studio Darbotron Limited. I've been making games since 1987 and doing it as my job since 96. I've worked on 19 games as a programmer or game designer, but I've also taught a master's degree and been involved in founding a couple of companies. Looking back, I think it was probably inevitable I'd end up making video games. Like, if I'd been born in a different time, I would have ended up as one of those fictional mad inventor types with a shed full of half-finished brass contraptions. But I did sort of 1980s, kid equivalent. I made loads of terrible computer games on my Spectrum, which is a computer from the 80s, by learning from books I borrowed from my school library. If you asked me what I wanted to do as a job back then, I would have, without hesitation, I would have said draw Spider-Man comics. But it turns out that I found sciences and maths just way easier than art. I've got more of an aptitude for it, so I ended up studying artificial intelligence at uni. And it honestly never occurred to me I could make games for a living. Back in the 90s, computers were much slower and you had to write them in a really low-level language called assembler, which I'd never learned. And in my third year at uni, my tutor just mentioned that his friend was making video games and they'd started using C to make them. Now, C was the main programming language I'd been studying at uni. So out of the blue, it was just like, obviously I need to make video games for a living. So I went and I applied for lots of jobs, and after a bunch of failed job interviews, I eventually did alright at one and got a job. If you think you'd like to make video games as a job, I think the best thing to do is to make one. The two biggest commercial game engines, Unity and Unreal, are both free to download and use, and they've got lots of tutorials and learning materials available, so as long as you've got access to a PC and the internet, you can make one. My advice is to start small, make a simple game, then make another one, and then another, and eventually you'll make a good one. But most importantly, you'll find out whether you enjoy making games and what aspect of it you're best at, and knowing what you're best at and what you enjoy will help guide your studies.